Today in our 2016 GMC Sierra 3500, we're going to be showing you how to install the Curt custom fifth wheel installation kit with the carbide finish. Part number is C16411-204. Here's what our rail kit's going to look like installed. These do a great job of offering us the ability to put in and take out our fifth wheel without taking up a whole lot of room in the bed of the truck. From the high side of the corrugation on the bed to the top of the rail, we're only looking at about 1 inch. So not a whole lot of room being taken up there. That's going to allow us to get this thing in and out when we need it. Now, as far as installation goes with it, it was really straightforward. We got 5 bolts in the rear rail, 5 bolts in the front rail. The bolts weren't that terribly difficult to get to put the hardware on, so in pretty good shape there. Now, this offers the custom brackets. So these are designed to fit specifically on our frame using, in our case today, existing weld nuts. If you've got a little bit older truck, you're going to use carriage bolts that you'll draw through, but either way, it's not going to be that big of a difference one way or another. It allows us to get these mounted to our frame without having to do a lot of drilling, coming up with our own game plan kind of situation that you get usually with those universal style of rail installation kits. So really cuts that job time down in about half. You can get it in your truck, you can get back to work without having a whole lot of downtime. You can see we've got the Curt Q20 mounted in the rails now, but we do have the narrower slots and the wider slots, which will help these rails fit a very wide variety of fifth wheel products, and even the gooseneck heads that'll fit down in the rails, be able to be pinned in that way. So gives you a lot of versatility with the system, able to use several different heads with the same set of rails. Now, to begin our installation, we need to get our front rail mocked into position so we know where we're going to start our holes. And your instructions are going to give you measurements for both the long bed and the short bed. You want to use those. We're going to measure from the rear of the truck bed forward and get it set in the appropriate position. And when you do this, if you do have a bed liner, you need to add on the thickness of that bed liner just to keep everything as it should be. And once that's set, we're also going to need to center it side to side. So I like to use this little lip. It's right here. Just measure over, see what you've got from side to side, and make adjustments as necessary there. Check your measurements one more time, and then we're going to mark our first couple of hole locations here with a center punch. Now for the forward rail, we're going to use the 2 outside locations here. Now before you go too far, something I like to do is use a paint marker and mark those locations, because on these spray and bed liners, they can be hard to see. All right, now we'll use a 1/8 inch drill bit. We're going to go down through, pre-drill our holes. Now we will want to ensure that we only go through the bed. There can be things underneath that you'll want to check, make sure there's no electrical harnesses or anything like that you might hit. Right now we're here in the wheel well area, and if equipped with this fender liner, you want to get that removed. There's going to be 13 screws just kind of like this. You got 2 here, and then they go kind of up and around here. You'll want a T15 Torx bit for them, and just get them pulled out of there. Now we're going to put this back in later, so you want to hang on to them for sure. All right, we'll set that aside, and we'll go do the same thing over on our passenger side. Now we'll raise our side plate up into position here. We're going to use our M16 bolts and just a flat washer. This is just going to be temporary so we can check our hole location. We'll just run that down hand tight so it holds that side plate in position. We're going to do the same thing for the forward attachment point here. All right, now we'll either use a skinny screwdriver or that same drill bit we did before, and we want to poke it down through the holes in the bed and ensure that it comes out in the holes that are in our rail here. And here you see we've got good clearance. We can move that screwdriver all the way around, so we shouldn't have any issues in getting our bolts put down through there. Now we'll enlarge our holes to the appropriate size. That's a good idea once you're done to get these scrapings vacuumed up so you don't drag them all around the bed of the truck. And of course we'll also position our rail, slide our bolts in, and get the middle hole drilled. Now our side plates can go back into position. We just need to ensure that this time we add that lock washer as well as the flat washer in place when we do that. And we'll snug these down hand tight. Do that on both sides of the vehicle. Now with those drilled out, we're ready to get our rail put back into position. We've got U-shaped spacers. These are going to go on the non-raised side of the corrugated bed. So in this case, this is in the valley. So we're going to place them right down on there. That's going to prevent us from crushing the bed when we get everything tightened down. In the case for the middle location here, this would be on the raised portion. So these spacers will need to go on the bottom. So you just want to keep that in mind as you're putting them in place. We're going to do the same thing on the rear rail. So select whether they should go on the top or the bottom when you get it installed. We like to remove the spare tire and also take the heat shield down. Just gives you some more room to work. That's not necessarily a requirement for you, but it might make it a little bit easier for you to get to your hardware. If you do decide to take down the heat shield, you'll need a 13mm socket and about a 10-inch extension. You got one bolt right here and then also one right there. Here at our center location, we've got our U-shaped spacer there. Place that up and on. Also have our spacer block there. I'm just going to tighten these down hand tight for now. Now we can go around to the other 4 locations, and we'll just be putting on our spacer block there and flange nut. All right, now we'll get our hardware snugged down and tightened up to the specifications listed in our instructions. And we'll do that for our 4 other locations as well. Now with our front rail nice and secure, it's time to find the position for our rear rail. Now to do that, you're going to need the arms from your slider or your fifth wheel, whatever accessory you're going to put in here. You want the arms. Now whether it's assembled or not assembled, that's going to be up to you. It's easier to do it when they're not assembled. But you want to put them in the outside of the brackets here. What we're going to do is pull as far forward on this rear rail as possible. That's going to give us as tight of a fit as we can get. It's going to help to reduce noise and other things like that. And then we also want to make sure that we're centered between the bed rails, so that we've got it centered in our bed. That's the position we've got it in now. And we're going to mark our holes. The middle hole is going to be in the same location. It's going to be right in the rear of the rail. We'll get that one marked. When we come to the outside of the rail, that's where it's going to change a little bit. On the front rail, we use the outside hole here. When it comes time to do the rear rail, we need to do the second from the outside set of holes. Make sure we get either a center punch or a mark in there, right dead center in the hole. Then we can move that rail out of the way, make our 1/8 inch pilot holes, check, make sure we don't have anything in behind the bed, and then finish them up with that 9/16 inch drill bit. All right, now for our second rail, we can drop all of our bolts down through. Our spacers are going to go on the bottom, so we don't have to worry about the U-shaped spacers on top. Now here you see our rear bolts where they come down through. Those U-shaped spacers, we're gonna slide those right in. So they'll go around that bolt for us. Then we've got our spacer that goes on the bottom with our flange nut. Now for the middle location, we'll do it just the same as we did the front rail middle bolt. You just want to go around and get all 5 of them secure, and we'll start torquing those down. Now with those rails secured down, it's time to tighten up side plates here. Now we're also going to have a specification for these bolts listed in the instructions that we'll want to follow as well. We'll do the same thing on our passenger side. All right, now we get our fender liners put back in here if your truck was equipped with it. Just need to pop them in around the edge. Once we have it all popped in, then we'll work on making sure our holes are lined up properly. We'll put all of our fasteners back in place. And with everything back in place, that's going to complete our installation of the Curt Custom Fifth Wheel Installation Kit. Part number C16411-204 on our 2016 GMC Sierra 3500.
Click the link below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com.